I am about to interview one of the San Francisco mayoral candidates, a guy named Daniel Lurie. I'm at a place called The Battery. It's a sort of fancy social club, kind of for the tech scene here. It's very fancy. Um, uh, and I should have come on here a long time ago to ask you guys, hey, what should I ask this guy? Sorry about that. But what's so interesting about this race, right, for people who are not from San Francisco, as well as those of us who are, is this idea that you have a city that is synonymous with progressive politics, progressive positions on everything from homelessness to crime and police reform to harm reduction, kind of taking this weird political turn where people are really fed up with the condition of the city. It is easy in this city to bump into some very miserable scenes where people are really living in terrible experiences and struggling. I would not say it is a dangerous city at this time, but property crime is definitely a problem, and drugs and homelessness, an enormous problem here. So as a result, you have the political winds really pushing against the kind of progressive instincts we've always had here, so much so that the current mayor, London Breed, who grew up in public housing in this city, lived in abject poverty, had a family member with serious mental illness trouble, such that she told me in an interview that person would not have survived an encounter with a police officer at that time. They had to keep intervening, right? So she's somebody who really has progressive ideas about how we should respond to mental health crises and all these things. She nonetheless helped spearhead two propositions, one of which expands police powers such that the police have fewer administrative tasks, don't have to get the same kind of permission from the police commission that they once did, and can use technology like drones and facial recognition, which had not been allowed before. That passed and goes into effect on January 1st. And also going into effect January 1st is Proposition F, which requires that if you're going to get welfare benefits in this city, you have to pass a drug test. And if you don't pass the drug test, you got to go into drug treatment in order to receive those benefits. So the question that I'm going to be asking Daniel Lurie is, like, are these problems that, how will you, if you're mayor, steer these, the city through these two propositions? I mean, they create big challenges for a single mayor and a single term. I mean, so there's some big problems that may be beyond the power of a mayor. So one is, right, if you're going to make welfare recipients get drug treatment in order to receive their benefits, everybody will tell you, like, we don't have the resources here in this city at this point to provide the benefits that you would need to provide the services, that they aren't there. It's the road to nowhere is what one city employee told me. So that's a big problem. And that's putting aside things like the mental health crisis that we have here and the fact that we don't have any kind of big inpatient facility for all the people who require that kind of help. The closest one is out in Napa, which is more than an hour away. So can a mayor solve that problem? And the other one, right, is the big cultural national moment we are having around policing, where the police department is, according to its numbers, down from what it would want, which is a couple thousand officers in the city, to just a little more than 1,000. But, I remember talking to a newly retired police officer and asked, why did you retire early? And he said, well, it's because they weren't letting me punish criminals the way I wanted to. And I remember thinking, wow, that harkens back to this culture that used to be part of the appeal for police officers, of coming in to be punishers and have power and be part of this kind of, culture of, I don't know, what do you want to call it, right? Impunity, in part, to fight crime however you saw fit, kind of. And that's no longer true. So how do you recruit people to be police officers when you can no longer offer them the power that used to be part of the appeal? So these are big questions for any mayoral candidate, and the claim that you're going to be able to sort of solve those problems, I don't know. It's hard to imagine. So Daniel Lurie is the heir to the Levi Strauss fortune, which is one of the San Francisco's big family fortunes. So he's never held elected office, but he has been a San Francisco establishment person for a long time. And he ran for a long time something called Tipping Point, which is a big nonprofit, one of the biggest on the West Coast. And they spent more than $100 million between 2017 and 2022 trying to cut homelessness in half. Now, they did not do that, but they did make a difference. And they, according to independent research, streamlined processes and sort of improved the city's system. The city's response to homelessness is very different now than it was in 2017, and that's in part because of Tipping Point. But can that guy deliver on all this other stuff? You know, or are these the manifestation of big national forces? You know, the unaffordability of housing and fentanyl and all of these things, right? Are those beyond the power of a mayor to solve? These are the kinds of questions we're going to put in front of him. Anyway, I should have asked you guys, hey, what should I ask him before now? But next week I interview Mark Farrell, who's the other centrist candidate. He was interim mayor when Mayor Ed Lee passed away for like 5 months. He was a venture capitalist, and he's come out of the woodwork to run as well. So if you have any thoughts about what I should ask him, I'd be very grateful. And yeah, interesting times in San Francisco come November.